And welcome back, everyone. Welcome back to another week, another exciting edition of the World Team League, the WTL KungFu Cup 2023 round number 9. I'm of course your host for the day, Light VIP, and later on I may be joined by another fellow CranKy Duckling. But until then, we have a matchup for you. We have some two lovely players, exclamation mark be in the chat if you guys want to have a look at the bracket. As it has been said in the chat, as always, the KungFu Cup bracket is quite large. Every single week, it's big, it's huge, it's amazing because the prize pool is so large. It brings together people from all around the world. It draws the attention of the best players in North America, Korea, and Europe as well. So have a gander at that bracket. As for the time being, we have a matchup for you. And spawning in the top left-hand corner of Babylon, we have the best Zerg player in all of China, representing the Starving Camels, SSLT. It is Silky. And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the American Terran player representing Macherino Esports. It is Future. Vámonos, papi, vámonos. We are here. The future is potentially now. The most exciting thing about this matchup, for me anyway, is the fact that Future is in Korea. Those who don't know, Future, he's maybe been a little bit less active and less in the limelight these most recent years, but in the past, you know, when I talk about maybe early Legacy of the Void leading into 2018, 2019, and even 2020, Future was considered to be the best Terran player in all of America. He was the best. He was pretty damn competitive with players like Estrella and Neeb and of the sort. Never the favorite, of course, but definitely up there, the upper echelons of the NA scene. And recently, of course, Alpha X did disband. Macherino Esports did rise from the ashes of Alpha X and did pick up a lot of their players, one of them being Future. And I remember that really surprised me because Future did step away from the game for a while, for a couple of years. He did, I think it was in 2021 and 2022, he did kind of step away for a while and wasn't competing as much. He was focusing on his studies, but now he's back and apparently he wants to play full-time, compete full-time again, which is really exciting stuff. It's something that I thought he had put behind him, but no, he's picking it back up, and he didn't just join a new team. He is in Korea right now. He's in Korea to practice, to focus on StarCraft, to improve and to compete and to get better, and that's pretty exciting stuff, to be honest. It isn't something you see or hear too much of anymore. Ever since COVID, obviously the Foreigner Team House disbanded, it closed down. A bunch of players went back to America, went back to their home countries, like, you know, Special and Estrella and Scarlet and No Regret. A bunch of them have returned to Korea recently, now that restrictions have lifted, and it's really exciting to hear that Future is one of them. Future is there. And I want to see how much he can improve. Of course, this is still the early days. What I mean by that is, as Future is going for a 1-1-1. So very aggressive opener here by Future. But he only got to Korea last week. So he hasn't been in Korea too long. So it's going to take a while. It's going to take a while for all that training, all that practice to really come to fruition, to really flourish. But I want to see the progress. I want to see like his journey there to become one of the better players out there, especially in the foreigner scene. I'm very excited to see how much he can grow. Ooh. As I mentioned earlier, Future is going for a much more aggressive opener. Did go for, oh my god, did go for a 1-1-1 into 2 more Raxes behind this as well. The third CC is heavily delayed, if not non-existent. Meanwhile, across the map, Silky did go for a standard opener, Hatch Gas Pool, going for his third base, just macroing up pretty happily, droning up as well, quite greedily. You see the first Viking coming out and is going to be supply blocking Silky a little bit. Finally, Future is going to be active with his first couple of Hellions, but as he's being active with this, he only made a handful of Hellions as well. Interesting. So he only makes 3 Hellions and a Reaper. He is going into an add-on swap quite quickly, and this is looking like the beginnings of a 2-base all-in. Oh boy, meanwhile, Hellions do rock up across the map. They're going to be able to roast up. Oh my god, a lot of drones. 4 drones go down. Even more, force a morph of a Spore as well. Meanwhile, Silky is doing some pretty interesting things as well. As he's struggling to deal with these Hellions, by the way, the Lings are having a hard time cleaning this up. The Queens were out of position, and all the Lings do get roasted. A couple more drones as well. We do force a lot of spores. They are cancelled, but again, this is a lot of damage. This is an insane amount of damage for only 3 Hellions. My god, like, this was very uncommitted pressure here from Future, and he got so much damage done. Meanwhile, we have a Spire on the way. Silky did rush into that lair. He is skipping his Evo chambers to focus on Mutas instead. This is a really risky move, especially when you're up against a mass bio style. And again, like, this is going to be a very committed push here from Future. Like, his aggression wasn't committed, but the follow-up is going to be, as Overseer is diving on in. This is going to be so important. The Viking is trying to stop the scout, but no, the Overseer sees all the production, sees the lack of a third base, and Future is sending everything across the map. +1 is going to finish up in the midst of this push, but Future has to push sooner rather than later. Here we go. The Hellions were able to survive the early game, but as I say that, one of the Hellions does now go down. What do we have at home to defend? We have 10 Banelings on the way, but those are going to be slow Banes. We were banking up our resources to rush into those Mutas. The Banelings, they're being focused down as we speak. But that tank is maybe a little bit too far behind to really support too much, but there we go. Half the Banelings will not finish up. Meanwhile, Silky is stuck outside of his own natural. Future, he's got some options. He can go towards a third. He can try to bust all the way into the main base. Mutas are popping out, but again, Mutas aren't going to help too much against all these Marines. There we go. A handful of Marines are going to be peeled off here to head towards that third base. We're throwing down a third CC on location behind this, but here we go. We do see Silky diving on top of these tanks. How good are the splits? The splits are pretty... the spread was pretty damn good to begin with. Now there are only Mutas left. Marines are going to be coming in from behind, and Silky has nothing left. He was far too greedy to rush into Mutas like this. It meant that he didn't have enough Ling Bane on the ground, and Ling Bane was exactly what he needed. GG gets called, and Future will take game number 1. Ooh, GG. Silky did end up scouting the main base and confirming what he was up against, but by that point, it was too late. By that point, he already had the Spire. He was already banking up gas and minerals to make Mutas. And again, Mutas are not what you want in that situation. It was almost like a blind counter, if you will, because that Spire was not scouted by Future. Future didn't really know what he was going up against, just happened to be going for. Again, it was a 2-base all-in. Like, that third base was very late from Future, and Silky was just cutting a lot of corners. Quite a lot of corners to try and make that work. Oh, I'm just trying to set up an alias if possible. There we go. Oh, as we're now going to be getting into game number 2, and again, a really strong start here from Future, but I don't know how much we can really gain from that game. I don't know how much we can really extract from that. You know, it was just 2 builds, and one clearly having a big advantage over the other. I don't think we can really, take too much from that. I'm sure we'll have a much more back and forth game number 2. As spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of Royal Blood, we have the American Terran player representing Maturino Esports, currently leading the series 1-0. It is Future. And spawning in the top right-hand corner, we have his opponents as oh, that's not what I wanted to do. We have his opponent. We have the best Zerg player in all of China, representing the Starving Camels. As I quickly set up the colors, there we go. Representing the Starving Camels, it is Silky. Let's go, Bobby. Let's go. The spread, Papi, it was a pretty damn good spread from Future. Like, Future was so set up for that attack, and on top of that, there was a lot that really led into it as well. Not just the build and the execution of the build, but the fact that Future was able to get on top of the Banelings, and remember, he was able to deny essentially half of those Banelings before they could finish morphing in for Silky, and he had such limited gas to work with as well because of the Mutas, because he was trying to squeeze out as many Mutas as possible. So yeah, those early Baneling kills, those early Baneling snipes were pretty crucial. And if it wasn't for that, it's very possible that Silky would have been able to defend. I would have been close, definitely would have been close, but it's possible. So, oof. Yeah, pretty wild at game number 1. But now we're going to be slipping into game number 2, and now we're going to be loading into Royal Blood. Royal Blood, a map that's a little bit less aggressive compared to Babylon. Babylon, we have a lot of two-base play. We have a lot of aggression and timing attacks on Babylon just because of the map layouts, just because of the bases and how vulnerable some of them can be, especially when it comes to that triangular third base location. But a map like Royal Blood, I do look forward to seeing a bit of a longer game between the two. I want to see a mid-game. I want to see a more back and forth. But it's not up to me. It's up to Silky and Future. It's up to our players. As the first Reaper is zooming across the map as we speak, just going to be dancing here with the Lings. Nothing too crazy outside of the fact that Silky is going to be staying on 2 bases. Interesting. Silky has not sent out a drone to take his third here, so he is going to be contained. I say contained, he's intentionally, in a way, containing himself. As he does push back that Reaper, 2 additional Queens are started up instead, and Future, he's going to do a double take. He's just making sure, oh yeah, you are staying on 2 bases. That's a little bit odd, that's a little bit weird. Now, this could just be a safe way to open up. There are old school players like Jim Rising, Cham does it as well, and some other Zerg players where they're willing to just open up 2 base like this and just slowly eventually take a third base. That this isn't necessarily an indication of a 2 base all-in, just yeah, an older way to play, a safer way to play, assuming that we do get a third, because we're making a lot of links. So we'll see. There we go. The drone is going to be headed out, but no, it is going to be denied by said Reaper. Oh no. The drone is going to take a couple of hits as well. Silky did make a lot of Lings. He's banking quite a lot of Lings. He hasn't shown them yet as he moves out across the map. As the Lings move out, the Hellions move in. Uh-oh. Oh, and drones are going to get roasted here, but Silky does not turn around. It's only 2 Hellions. He believes in the power of the Queen, and the Queens will clean this up at the same time across the map. The wall is not a wall. The Lings are looking to get a surround on these Hellions. And it looks like they won't quite be able to do so. They get 1 SCV at the natural base. They get a couple more workers here in the main. I believe a second, a third SCV goes down. Oh, and a 4th. 5 SCVs in total. That isn't the most amount of damage for Future to take, especially, remember another thing. Silky has stayed on 2 bases, right? Like, his third base is very late, so even though Silky does kill 5 workers, that's maybe enough to equalize. It's something that Future could afford to do and something that Silky had to do, right? To come back in this game and make sure that his delayed third base wouldn't be too catastrophic economically. Behind this, once again, it was a 1-1-1 opener. We have another Rax on the way, but we do have a third base this time. So it is a little bit delayed. Or I say a little bit delayed. It was a 1-1-1, which means that we have a much more aggressive start here. We have additional Hellions. We have a Banshee on the way. So Future is going to be delaying his economy a little bit, but still looking for a longer game. Uh-oh. Oh, the Hellions are left a little bit idle as the Banshee is wreaking havoc in the main base. Was it worth it so far? Yes. 4, 5 drones going down. There is no detection. There are no spores. Silky, he scouted the main base, but he didn't react in time to said Banshees. He saw the Tech Lab researching, but this Banshee, this is game-ending damage. 11 drones. Can we get 12? Can we get 13? 12 drone kills on 1 Banshee is actually insane. The second Banshee shows up as well. We have spores, but we don't have any mobile detection. Oh my god. GG gets called. Oh, and Future will take the series 2-0. Wow. Wow. GG. I'm a little bit stunned. I'm mostly stunned by Silky not reacting to what he scouted, and Silky not taking the researching tech lab on the starport seriously. Remember, he scouted it when his Lings slipped into the main with his Ling counterattack. Like he got a full scout. He didn't just get worker kills, which was 5 SCVs. He also scouted the main. And he should have been preparing back at home, but a little bit of a lapse in judgment. Maybe just a little bit too much going on. It's the first series of the day. Maybe he wasn't warmed up ahead of time. But yeah, that was quite an end here for Silky, and massive shout out to Future. Really good result overall. Very well executed builds from Future. Silky just, again, in game one, it was a surprise. Game one is fine. Game one was a surprise. Like, it's just, you know, we get into our builds and things happen. Game number two, though, was, I have to put a little bit more onus on Silky for that one, for not reacting to what he scouted and not preparing back at home and not taking the threat of Banshee seriously enough. So GG, well played to Future. He takes a 2-0 and moves on to the next round.